Hello students. So now we have the time for discussion on Bayes factor. We have discussed the concept of Bayes factor, how it is derived and how it changes for point null hypothesis, etc. So now let us try to go through some examples. So in the first example I have considered the simple most situation, that is we have a random sample from binomial distribution, a sample of size n from binomial distribution with parameters n and theta we are assuming to have a beta distribution with parameters ab. Then we know that the posterior distribution, if prior is beta ab, then the posterior will be beta with parameters a plus x and n minus x plus b. Now the purpose is to test the hypothesis of this type. H naught is theta less than or equal to theta naught, where theta naught is a known constant lying in the interval 0 to 1, and H1 is theta greater than theta naught. Now, as we have discussed in the earlier lecture, the test procedure needs separate priors for H naught and H1. So, suppose G naught and G1 are such priors. Okay, so G naught and G1, suppose G naught is the prior distribution of theta, which is defined only on the subset 0 to theta naught, that is the subset of the parameter space specified by H naught, and G1 is suppose the subset of the parameter space specified by H1. So G1 will be simply defined over the interval theta naught to 1. So we want G naught and G1 such that integration of G naught theta d theta over the range 0 to theta naught is 1, and same is the case with G1 theta. So now the question is, how can it be done? So we already have considered one prior distribution. Then we know that if we have beta AB as the prior, then beta A plus xn minus x plus b is going to be the posterior. In this example, what we are doing is we are following the procedure which is used for constructing Bayes factor as it is stepwise. So if we follow this procedure, we know that if we start with a beta prior, we end up getting a beta prior, beta being a conjugate prior for binomial. So we can use this information that if we start with beta, we end up with beta. So can we use this beta PDF to construct G naught and G1 such that they fulfill this condition? So suppose capital G is the CDF of beta distribution with parameters AB, then we can use this to construct G naught and G1. What we will need to do is we will have to truncate the distribution over the particular range. So G naught theta can be pi theta, where pi theta is the PDF of beta distribution with parameters A and B. So G naught theta will be simply pi theta upon the CDF of the same distribution at point theta naught. So what we have done is, earlier the range was 0 to 1. Now we have truncated it and we are fixing it to the interval 0 to theta naught. So if this is the case, then G naught theta is 1, otherwise it is going to be 0. So notice that if you integrate G naught theta over the range 0 to theta naught, then the integration will be 1. So the condition is fulfilled. So similarly, G1 theta can be constructed by dividing pi theta by the constant 1 minus the CDF of pi at point G theta naught. So this will be the expression if theta is greater than theta naught. Now let us see how the prior needs to be constructed. So suppose G theta is the prior distribution of theta. So G theta must involve the prior probabilities of both these hypotheses and G naught and G1. So suppose pi naught and pi 1 are the prior probabilities of H naught and H1. Then G theta must be pi naught times G naught theta into indicator function of theta less than or equal to theta naught plus pi 1 times G1 theta into indicator function of theta greater than theta naught. This part somehow wasn't covered in while I scanned the pages, but I hope you will understand. So we can again write this G theta as in a simpler form like this. So G theta will be pi naught G naught theta if theta is less than or equal to theta naught, because in that case this indicator function will be 1 and this indicator function will be 0. So G theta will be simply pi naught G naught if theta less than or equal to theta naught, and it will be pi 1 G1 if theta greater than theta naught. So if this is the expression for G theta, then let us see what will be the joint distribution of x and theta. So the joint distribution is now P of x given theta into g theta. Now Px is binomial PMF. So n choose x, theta raised to x 1 minus theta raised to n minus x into now pi naught. Now g theta. Now notice that the expression of g theta will be g naught theta, and g naught theta is pi theta upon capital G at theta naught. So pi theta will be theta raised to a minus 1, 1 minus theta raised to b minus 1 into 1 upon beta ab. So thus the joint distribution will be of this type if theta is less than or equal to theta naught, and the joint distribution will be like this if theta is greater than theta naught. Okay, so now let us try to find the marginal distribution of x. So to find the marginal distribution of x, we will have to integrate the joint with respect to theta over the range 0 to 1. So this range again we will split at theta naught. So it will be n choose x pi naught. See again here we are integrating this with respect to theta now. This part with respect to theta over the range 0 to theta naught. So we will have n choose x a constant, then g theta naught is a constant, beta ab is a constant. So all those will come outside the integration. Now what we need to do is integrate theta raised to a plus x minus 1 into 1 minus theta raised to b minus 1 over the range theta 0 to theta naught. Right. So we will have this into pi naught, that will be there. Yes, this pi naught will be there. Similarly in the second one, now from theta naught to 1, we know the second form of the PDF must be used, joint PDF must be used. So we will have this. So now notice that here this integrand can be adjusted as a beta a plus x n minus x plus b PDF. So to do so, we will have to multiply and divide this quantity, the first and the second term, by the beta function computed at points a plus x and n minus x plus b. So let us do that and see what do we get. So in that case, if we adjust it as a beta PDF, then this becomes, the first term becomes the CDF of the beta PDF with parameters a plus x and n minus x plus b at point theta naught. Now, so suppose H is the H is the CDF of beta distribution with parameters a plus x and n minus x plus b. Then the first term, see here, the first term will be simply, this integration will be beta a plus x n minus x plus b times h theta naught. Why do we get this beta? Because this right now is not a perfect beta density. So we divide and multiply this, multiplied by this constant to get it like this. So this will be beta a plus x n minus x plus b into, now this will be, this integrand will be the CDF at point theta naught, h at theta naught into n choose x pi naught will be there upon beta ab g theta naught will also be there. Similarly in the second term we will have beta a plus x n minus x plus b into, now notice that the same beta density we are talking about, but now we are integrating it over the range theta naught to 1. So as a result this will be 1 minus h theta naught into n choose x pi 1, they will be there, beta ab will be in the denominator and 1 minus g theta naught will also be there. So can we adjust it a bit? So notice that you can take n choose x common, beta a plus x n minus x plus b and beta ab also can be taken common. So in the first term I have pi naught h theta naught upon g theta naught plus pi 1 into 1 minus h theta naught upon 1 minus g theta naught, where this x can be from 0 to n, that being a binomial random variable. So the range is not going to change here because the range does not depend on theta. So hence the posterior distribution will be now joint upon marginal. So it will be like this. It will be in this form if theta is less than or equal to theta naught, and this form if theta is greater than theta naught. So this in the denominator, what I have done is I have cross multiplied this so that g theta naught into 1 minus g theta naught goes to the numerator. Okay, this n choose x, when you take the ratio, this n choose x will get cancelled. Means when you compute this ratio, this n choose x will get cancelled. and all these terms will be there. So now, right now it doesn't look really nice, and in fact it looks really scary. So notice that this g theta naught will get cancelled in the first term. Similarly, in the second term, 1 minus g theta naught to 1 minus g theta naught will get cancelled. Now notice that if you focus only on these two terms divided by this beta function, then this is a PDF of beta distribution with beta distribution with parameters a plus x and n minus x plus b. So we can simplify this posterior distribution by replacing this by h theta, where h will be, because capital H is denotes the CDF of the same beta distribution, so small h will denote the PDF of the same beta. So g theta x can be written as h theta times 1 minus g theta naught into pi naught upon h theta naught into 1 minus g theta naught into pi naught plus g theta naught into 1 minus h theta naught into pi 1. This will be the expression if theta is less than or equal to theta naught, and this will be the expression if theta is greater than theta naught. Okay, now suppose I call this whole stuff as alpha naught and this as alpha 1. Then I can simplify this as alpha naught times h theta into indicator function of theta less than or equal to theta naught plus alpha 1 times h theta into indicator function of theta greater than theta naught. So notice that in either of the cases, whether theta larger than theta naught or theta smaller than theta naught, exactly one of the indicator functions is going to 1. So g theta given x will be again in the same form. So we haven't made any mistake when we write this as plus. So when theta is less than or equal to theta naught, this indicator function will be 1, and g theta given x will be simply alpha naught h theta, where alpha naught is this. Similarly, when theta is greater than theta naught, this will be 1 and this will be 0, and g theta given x will be simply alpha 1 h theta, where alpha 1 is this term. Okay, now let us notice that here right now you can't say that it is a mixture distribution because alpha naught alpha 1 are not adding to 1. So now, sorry, we want the posterior probabilities of H0 and H1 in order to compute the base factor. First we must compute prior odds, that is prior probabilities of H0 and H1 that we have already assigned pi 0 and pi 1. So the prior odds will be simply pi 0 upon pi 1. Prior odds in the favor of H0 will be simply pi 0 by pi 1. Similarly, the posterior odds in the favor of H0 will be posterior ratio of the posterior probabilities of H0 and H1. So let us first compute posterior probabilities of H0 and H1 like this. So the posterior probability will be simply integration 0 to theta naught g theta given x d theta. So it will be alpha naught times h theta d theta over the range 0 to theta naught. So it will be simply alpha naught h theta naught. Similarly, the posterior probability of h1, that is theta greater than theta naught given x, will be alpha 1 times 1 minus h theta naught. So the posterior odds will be probability of h0 given x upon probability of h1 given x, which will be alpha naught h theta naught upon alpha 1 minus h theta naught. So the base factor, now if we substitute the values of alpha naught and alpha 1, let us see what do we get. See here, alpha naught and alpha 1. So consider the ratio of alpha naught and alpha 1. So the denominator will get cancelled and you will simply have 1 minus g theta naught into pi naught upon g theta naught pi 1. So here this alpha naught by alpha 1, if you substitute, what do you get is 1 minus g theta naught into pi naught upon g theta naught into pi 1, and this h theta naught upon 1 minus h theta naught is remaining there as it is. Now the prior odds in the favor of h naught are pi naught by pi 1. So the base factor is the ratio of the two, so that this pi naught by pi 1 will get cancelled and you get this as this term, which is a lot simple now, as a base factor for testing H0 against H1. Okay, now can we now here we have taken a really long route, in the sense even though we had a continuous prior, such as beta AB prior, we have followed the procedure and we have constructed separate priors which are well defined on script theta naught and script theta 1. So what would have happened if we had used beta AB as a prior, and then instead of calculating the or assigning the separate prior probabilities to the hypothesis, if we use this prior distribution to calculate the prior probabilities of the hypothesis, then let us see if we follow this procedure, what will be the Bayes factor. So if we follow this procedure, that is if we use beta AB as a continuous prior, then we have already discussed several times that beta A plus x n minus x plus b will be the posterior. So the prior odds are now probability of theta less than or equal to theta naught upon probability of theta greater than theta naught. So now notice that if beta AB is the prior, then the G denotes the CDF of beta distribution with parameters A and B. So the numerator will be simply the CDF G at point theta naught, and the denominator will be 1 minus G theta naught. Similarly, H, capital H, we have used to indicate the CDF of beta distribution with parameters A plus x and n minus x plus b. So if we use this again, then we get the posterior odds as simply h theta naught upon 1 minus h theta naught. So now the Bayes factor is simply ratio of these two. So h theta naught upon 1 minus h theta naught into 1 minus g theta naught upon g theta naught. So notice that this is the Bayes factor we would have got if we had used beta AB as a prior distribution. So see, it is same as the one which we have derived earlier. In fact, it is interesting to notice that this Bayes factor does not depend on the probabilities assigned to the hypothesis a priori. That is, before getting the data, if we attach any probability to the hypothesis, still the probabilities don't play any role finally in taking the decision regarding the hypothesis. So this is an important fact which you must notice now. So thus this example is an illustration of the fact that if we have a continuous prior available while testing a hypothesis which is not a point null hypothesis, then no separate priors are needed for the hypothesis. That is, you need not construct G0 and G1 separately for H0 and H1. Instead, you can use the same prior distribution to compute the prior probabilities of both the hypotheses, and then the posterior distribution obtained using that continuous prior can be used to obtain the posterior probabilities of both the hypotheses, so that the resulting ratio, odds ratio, will be the Bayes factor. So now this was a simple example. We will see how the values of A and B and pi naught and pi 1, and how do we change, means what happens, how do we decide whether Bayes factor is working or not. So a practical illustration of Bayes factor in the context of this example will be followed in a few minutes. So let us first discuss one more example which I have put here. So now in the earlier example, we were talking about a distribution which belongs to exponential family. So we have a really good conjugate prior there. Conjugate prior in the sense a prior distribution, if it belongs to a particular family of distribution, then the posterior also belongs to the same family of distributions. For example, if I start with a beta prior and if I am having a sample from binomial, then I end up getting again beta as a prior distribution, posterior distribution. So now suppose instead of exponential family, suppose we are having a sample from another family of distribution, that is Pitman family of distributions. You might have studied Pitman family of distributions while studying statistical inference in the second semester. So uniform 0 theta is one such distribution. So suppose you have a random sample of size n from uniform 0 theta distribution, then the joint distribution of xi given theta will be like this, where the maximum of xi must be less than theta. So I have included the condition through this indicator function. Now suppose we have a Pareto as prior distribution of theta. So here we are assuming that alpha and a are known positive constants. So pi theta is alpha a raised to alpha upon theta raised to alpha plus 1 if theta is larger than a, where both alpha and a are known. Then the joint distribution will be alpha a raised to alpha upon theta raised to n plus alpha plus 1. If now both the conditions must be true in order to have this form of the joint distribution of xi's and theta. So that means x ordered n should be less than theta and theta should be greater than a. That means theta should be greater than both of these. So I am taking a maximum. So in order to find the joint distribution of xi's only, we'll have to integrate this with respect to theta, and so the range of theta will be, the lower limit will be maximum of x ordered n and a to infinity. So if we solve this, finally we get this as the joint distribution of xi's, where t is maximum of x ordered n a. So now if this is the joint distribution of xi's, then the posterior distribution of theta given xi's will be n plus alpha t raised to n plus alpha upon theta raised to n plus alpha plus 1 if theta is greater than t. So notice that we started with Pareto distribution as a prior distribution of theta, and we ended up getting the posterior distribution also Pareto, but with parameters as n plus alpha and t. Okay, so now suppose we want to test hypothesis. Now this is a continuous distribution. So as we have discussed earlier, now we don't need two separate priors if we are testing a non-point null hypothesis. That is, if we have a hypothesis which is either one-sided or two-sided, the only condition is the subset of the parameter space specified by the hypothesis should not be a singleton set. So as long as this holds, you can use a continuous prior. So suppose this is the prior distribution which is mentioned earlier, and now we want to test a separate type of hypothesis. Earlier we considered h naught theta less than or equal to theta naught and h1 theta greater than theta naught. Now I have changed the directions here. H naught is theta greater than or equal to theta naught and h1 is theta less than theta naught, where this hypothesis will be meaningless if theta naught is less than a, because we know that a priori theta naught must be larger than a. So if we choose theta naught to be smaller than a, then theta is always going to be larger than theta naught, and in that case h naught will carry prior probability 1 and h1 will carry prior probability 0. So then there will be no point in testing these hypotheses. So we are assuming that this theta naught belongs to the support of the prior distribution, that is theta naught is a constant which is larger than a. So let us see what will be the prior probability of this hypothesis. So probability that theta greater than or equal to theta naught will be then integration of pi theta from the range theta naught to infinity. So it will be a by theta minus 1 times a by theta raised to alpha over the range theta naught to infinity. So it will be simply a upon theta naught whole raised to alpha. Notice that a is larger than theta. Sorry, theta naught is larger than a, so this quantity will always be between 0 and 1, so our calculations are correct. And so the prior probability of h1 will be probability that theta less than theta naught, so it is 1 minus a by theta naught whole raised to alpha. So the prior odds are like this. So now the posterior odds similarly will be t by, the posterior probability of h naught is t by theta naught whole raised to n plus alpha, and posterior probability of h1 is, sorry, this should be strictly less than. So the posterior probability of this will be 1 minus t by theta naught whole raised to n plus alpha. So the base factor is the ratio of posterior odds to the prior odds. So after simplification we get this as the expression of base factor. So both these examples now we will work out in R. So what we are planning to do is, we will take some value of n, we will take some value of theta, we will simulate random sample and we will try to check how base factor works.